Okay, today's notes are the last actual bit before the end of the chapter, and we're talking about commands with pronouns, and we hinted at it in the last chapter, but we're going to kind of really practice it more in this chapter, and it will be a requirement of your cooking project is to use these pronouns in your videos when you give your commands. So we just got done doing that listening activity where he was telling you to mix it well, and that's exactly what you'll be saying in your videos, saying add this and boil that and fry this, and but you could say add in the sugar or add it, like necesitas el, let's see, azúcar, añádalo, add it. Or añade. Yeah, no, añada is that IR verb. So we will practice these today. After we're done with these notes, I'm going to give you a partner, and you're going to write how-to commands. And so, like, how to be a good student, or whatever number you draw is, that's what the commands you guys are going to work on together. So, you need to remember about where pronouns go. Pronouns, we should back up. Start learning about them in second grade. Landon brought home a paper and talked about pronouns in it. And pronouns, though, are those things that replace nouns. So if we're talking about adding the sugar, it would replace the word sugar. Okay? So the placement of those pronouns depends on whether it's affirmative or negative. It does not matter whether a to command, usted, ustedes command, it's the same for all. So that's important to remember. So affirmative commands, where do pronouns go? What do you remember?
Nothing.
They attach, exactly. If you're going to add a direct object pronoun, direct objects are what receives the action. We learned those in Spanish too. Do we need to do a little review of what direct objects were? Me, te, lo, la, nos, los, las. Like, maybe we ought to do that before we even get there.
Sí.
So if I had, just type it. Prepare the hamburger. Okay. The verb preparar. If it's a command in the usted, let's just focus usted right now. How do we make preparar an usted command? Yo form, drop the O, opposite ending in the usted box. Prepare. It's the same thing. Prepare. Now how do we say the hamburger? La hamburguesa. Prepare la hamburguesa. Or, if we're going to replace it, remember direct objects receive the action. So you ask yourself, what are you preparing? The hamburger. We're going to get rid of it and replace it with me, te, lo, la, nos, los, or las. Do you remember this?
Me, te, lo, le, lo.
Me, te, lo, or la, nos, los, or las.
So, la.
It is la because it's la hamburguesa. It's a feminine singular. It would fit down here with the little la. So, when we know hamburguesa becomes la. If it was just a sentence saying he is preparing the hamburger, la prepara. I told you in our rules back in Spanish too that they have to go in front of the conjugated verb. But that's what sets commands and just plain statements apart. Commands say the la has to attach to the command verb. So we say, prepare la. We attach it to the command. There's no space or anything. It gets attached to the end, but the natural sound of the verb prepare has to maintain. And so to do that, we have to accent,
A dash.
we have to add the accent. And you can think of it either way. Either the original sound, the second to last syllable of the verb, or the third to last of the whole entire word. Either way, that A has to be accented. Okay, prepare la. When you add that pronoun, the la, it changes the amount of syllables. And so it would sound prepare la, but it's not prepare la, it's prepare la. You have to keep the original sound. Again, direct objects receive the action. And when you do this, in your recipes, it's all the items that you're putting into your recipe. You're going to say, boil the lettuce or boil it. We don't really boil lettuce, but that's what the guy said about
You
the
don't
spinach.
Boil the eggs.
Yeah, you could boil the eggs. Boil the water. Right?
Fry the cookies.
Speaking of boil the water, let's do that one. Hervir. This board is driving me crazy. Hervir el agua. This is like a very old lesson back in Spanish 1.
It's actually masculine.
It's actually feminine.
That's what I
Yes, it's actually feminine. Agua is a feminine word. We just use el because if that article la was in
There's
front of
two
it,
A's.
it'd be 2 A's. It'd be agua, and it just blends together. So if you're saying, let's practice this, boil it. How do we say boil it? So the yo form of hervir is
Era.
hiervo. Drop the O. Hierva. And then, what are you boiling? The water. We're going to get rid of it. It becomes la. And it attaches. Hierva la. Where do I add the accent?
Eyes.
Close. On the E. The E. Hierva la. Hierva la. See. Let me go back to my. Any questions on that? Okay. So, again, this is the formal thing. Please do not write it down word for word. This is just a clarification. Here's usted and comer la hamburguesa, the same example with the hamburger. So the usted command is coma la hamburguesa, eat the hamburger. But you could say eat it, right? The hamburger is receiving the action. So we attach it to the conjugated command, coma la, but we have to accent the third to last syllable of the entire phrase, right? Or the original sound, the O, coma la. And there's those pronouns again, me, te, lo, la, nos, los, or las. It receives the action. If it was, we start speaking in more complex sentences and we add multiple object pronouns, like pass the plate to me. If I said pass the plate to me, pass is your action. What is it that you're passing? What's receiving the action?
The plate.
The plate. That's the direct object, el plato. The to me is what we call an indirect object because they receive the direct. So, let's talk about that. Indirect object pronouns. So, here's your example. Pasar la fruta a mí. Pass the fruit to me. The direct object in this sentence is what? The fruit. Who's receiving the fruit?
Me.
Me. Okay? I'm asking you to do it as a command. Pase la fruta a mí. They're done very, very similar. So, who's receiving it? Me. That's the indirect object. Do you remember what those indirect object pronouns were? Me, te. They're just like gustar. Le, nos leis. Me te le nos leis. So that's me is receiving it. All right. Oops. Then you're going to attach it. Páseme. Páseme. Pass me. And then you just add the fruit at the end. Pásame la fruta. You still have to do the accent because we're attaching pronouns or changing the verb.
How do you spell it?
Did I spell it wrong?
No,
Okay.
I don't know how to spell.
I'm going to attach it at the end. So again, direct objects, me, te, lo, la, nos, los, las. Indirect objects, me, te, le, nos, les. Okay. Oh, here they are right there. Páseme. Can our brains handle more? We're attaching affirmatives. Here's another one. Give me the plate. The verb, that should be de. That's a to command. Dame el plato or deme. Let's just move on. All right. What happens if you have them both replaced? They both attach. So instead of saying, pass Chola the water. Pass Chola the water. In English, how do we replace the two nouns, the direct and indirect object nouns? Pass her it. Excelente. So, pass her it, or pass it to her, right? To use those double objects at the same time, you're going to replace both of them just with the same pronouns. Nothing too complex about that. Here's the saying you need to know. Indirect before direct reflexive first of all. This is something I learned when I was in school. I just remember my teacher saying that to us all the time. Just kind of sticks. Indirect before direct reflexive first of all. Meaning that if you're ever dealing with multiple pronouns, the indirect always becomes the direct comes before the direct. Or if it's a reflexive pronoun, that pronoun always goes first. So let's look at it. You're not going to use all three together. Reflexive pronouns like when you're doing the action to yourself. Y'all, give the apple to me. Okay? That's a ustedes command. Okay? Give it to me. The verb to give is din. Dar is an air verb, opposite ending din. The apple, how do we say apple in Espanol? La manzana. So it becomes la, right? To me, that's me. The saying, indirect before direct reflexive first of all. The indirect, person receiving that thing, before the direct, what's receiving the action. Indirect before direct, and they attach. Affirmative commands always have pronouns that attach. Denmela. Denmela.
That's how they learn.
Yeah, it just kind of becomes natural. Like my grandma was always like, "Dámelo, déjelo." She was just like, "Leave things alone or give it to me." Third person. If you have two lays, lay and la, or lace and los, or lace and lo, whatever. If you have two third person pronouns, the indirect becomes say. That's just here's an example. Give Juan the apple. So now you're not giving it to me, you're giving it to Juan. He's receiving the apple, he's the indirect object. The apple is the direct object. Apple is still la. Juan would be lay. But it would sound funny to say den le la. Right? It's just funky. Den le la. So we say den se la. It does not matter what the lay or if it's lay or lace, if it just becomes say. Okay? You do not want two L words standing next to each other. Din se la. And again, these are all affirmative commands telling people to do something. So maybe you guys are cooking with your partner, and Diego is my partner. Like, yo necesito el agua. Diego, pásemela. Pass it, the water, el agua, to me. Pásemela. Yes. And you could demonstrate that in the video that way. Or serve it to them. Let's work on that one. Let's just stop right there. Let's see here. Serve what are we serving?
The maid.
The what?
Maid. Oh, you serve the maid?
What item are we serving?
Oh.
The bread.
Are you a cannibal?
To who?
The maid. To the maid.
Serve the bread.
To the maid. Okay. The maid is, okay, so.
Chop.
Serve is the verb servir. How do you say the usted command of servir?
Sirva.
Sirva, right? Sirvo, drop O, opposite ending, sirva. Sirva, the bread. El pan. A, to, the maid is la criada. Sirva el pan a la criada. All right. Our action. What's the action?
Oh.
Serve. What are you serving? The bread. To who? The maid. The direct object receives the action. That goes here. And then we have me, te, le, nos, les. Okay. So, we know the pan becomes what?
Walk. Or lay.
Low.
Lo. Because it's a direct object. The indirect object's la criada.
Lay.
Le. All right. What's the saying?
Sirva.
Hold on. What's the saying I told you to memorize?
Indirect
Before direct, expressive plus all.
Indirect before direct. There's no reflexive verbs here, so you don't have to worry about it. So, sirva is the command. Sirva. Indirect before direct. Lay. Low. Oh, we have two la-las going on. So, sirva, say low. Where do I put the accent? Think about the on the I. Why?
Because
You're correct.
I'm trying to think.
No.
I'm trying to remember why.
There's no E or A.
To keep the sound.
Yeah, you want the sound of sirva, right? The accent becomes it's on the I because it sounds better. Sirva, not sirva, right? Sirva, selo. Sirva, selo. Whew. There's some complex thinking going on here. Sí, es difícil. Sí. Sí, Canta Ninja. I have one slide. Can we do it after that?
Oh, yeah.
One slide. Canta Ninja. Sí. What happens if you have a negative command? Don't serve it to him. It's all the same rules except they're not attached. They go in front. Okay? Don't sell him the food. No le vende la comida a él. That is the proper way of saying that in Spanish. When you have indirect objects like él to him, you have to have the pronoun and the él. So we're going to replace él. No le vende la comida. Don't serve him the food. It's weird to us in English because we don't do pronouns and nouns in the same sentence. It's like saying, don't serve him the food to him. It's like a double thing, and that's just what we do in Spanish or proper Spanish. No le vende la comida. So then we're going to replace comida with it. Don't serve him it. No se la vende. No se la vende. Don't sell it to him. Don't taste the eggs. Son horribles. Okay, here's a ustedes command. Probar, AR verb. No prueben. Don't taste them. Los huevos. No los prueben. Don't taste them. What questions can I answer? What Canta Ninja song are we gonna do? Any song you want.
I don't remember all this.